Hello and welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. Kay Murray, Shaka Hislop and Stevie Nicol here in the studio, kicking off with the news that Ruben Amorim has offered some of those want-away Manchester United players a potential path back into the squad if transfers this summer do not materialise. Those players are Anthony, Alejandro Garnacho, Tyrell Malacia and Jadon Sancho. Perhaps there is still a future for them at Manchester United. Here is Ruben Amorim.
I understand that the clubs maybe are waiting for the last minute, but they can have a surprises, and I'm ready. I'm ready to receive the players. I think our club in the moment we need to be really careful when we sign a player. So if we have to start the season with this squad, I'm happy because all the players that are here want to be here, and that for me it's the most important thing.
There we go. Julian Aron joining us now. Let me start with you, though, Stevie. Some interesting words there. It's twofold, really. It's like you could be welcome back, even though they're looking and exploring moves away. And he's saying that he's happy with the squad that he's got.
Really? I have no idea what he's trying to say. It's complete and utter gobbledygook. And he says, I'm happy with what we've got. Does he remember that last year they were what, 16th?
15th.
15th. Oh, beg your pardon. That's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Please.
I honestly, I have no idea. What's he talking about? We've got all the players that want to be here, and then if all the other players, nobody buys them, then they're welcome back. I mean, the only guarantee with him coming out and saying things like that is in the dressing room, the players are going to lose respect for him. Because he tried to send messages since he got there with the Rashford situation, the Garnacho situation. He tries to send a message in pre-season by telling the famous five to train on their own, and then this week they're going to be welcome if nobody comes in for them. I mean, absolute gobbledygook. And if we thought a break for Amorim to get things in order at Manchester United, then it's made no difference, because it just looks like a shambles, as it was when the season ended. Absolute madness.
Do you think there's any clarifying what he said here, Jules? Is he serious or is he bluffing?
Well, I hope for him it's serious. There would be no point for him to come on record and say those things, like Stevie just said, if he didn't mean them. You don't say those kind of things. But again, and it's not the first time we talk about his communication and the club's communication as a whole, which is sometimes really hard to follow, sometimes really hard to understand. And in this case, it sounds very stupid and naive, because as we said, and the last time I think I was on the show with you, we talked about those 5 players who were training on their own, were not allowed at the training ground before 5 p.m. And we said what a bad look this was for Amorim himself and for a club like Manchester United. They're not the only club to do that, but it's not a good look for anybody, really. And it's almost like if they watched our show and thought, yeah, this is not great. Let's change our tune completely and say, actually, we welcome all them back. Rashford is gone now, but the other 4, okay, if nobody comes from them, they are welcome back. And surely it's not true that he's happy with the squad, because he's been asking for number 9 for weeks and weeks now, and still none has come.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, Chaka? Because we've heard him in that quote saying players that want to be here, but we've seen that these players are exploring moves away. He said before he doesn't want players in the squad that don't want to be there. So why is he offering an olive branch here? Why the change of heart?
Well, I think because he has to offer an olive branch, to your point, Kay. And I think there's 2 aspects to this statement. He has to say he's happy with the squad. Every manager does. Even when you're trying to sign players, nobody really believes it. We're well on the outside looking in. So we can judge this very differently. But normally around this time, you would hear managers say, listen, we're trying to make a couple of signings. If we get them, great. If not, I'm happy to go into the season with the squad that I have. That one statement alone contradicts itself, but you hear it season in, season out. All managers are going to say they're happy with the squad. The other aspect of this is we're going to welcome the players back in. Now, that is directed at the 4 players who are going to be reintegrated into the squad because they can't get a move away. But none of them are going to fall for that, because of how you ostracize them, how public it was, how harshly the wording and the criticism was just a couple of weeks ago. Now all of a sudden the tune is, and we criticized that that kind of statement and what was being communicated. Because if you say these players are not a part of my plans, what that says to any club who's even remotely interested is the prices are going down. The longer we leave this, the price is going further and further down. So they shot themselves in the foot to start with. Now you're trying to welcome the players back, and you're pretty much saying all that really negative stuff I said a couple of weeks ago, don't believe that. I changed my mind on that. Nobody's going to fall for it. Absolutely nobody's going to fall for it. Malacia and Sancho have 1 year left, so they're under some pressure, but they might think, I'll sit this out and see what comes in a year's time. Anthony's got 2. Garnacho's sitting pretty with 3 years to run. So I just feel that, sitting as far as these now 4 players go, Manchester United just keep shooting themselves in the foot over and over again in how they handle it.
Will these players believe him, Stevie? And as a player, is it possible to move past that?
No, I don't believe it is. I think there's the odd exception, as always, where somebody may be able to move past what has been going on with them in particular. But when you've got 4 of them, and they know exactly that between now and the end of the season, or the end of the transfer window, is exactly what Shaq has said. They'll be thinking, you know what, that's good. We can actually get back and do some training, be with the squad, get ourselves in good shape. Because the day before it shuts down, teams will probably come in and try and get us. So from their point of view, they're not falling for this, we'll welcome you back. This is a good opportunity for them to look after themselves, get themselves physically fit, because they're going to be training with everybody, they're going to be involved in games, they're going to be playing, and then they can get going. But there's absolutely no chance that they're all going to wipe the slate clean and it's a brand new beginning. Not a chance.
Let me just tell one little side story here. So back in, this would have been 2001 season, I'm at West Ham. I'm in the last year of my contract. Glenn Roeder is appointed as manager of West Ham United. The very first day of pre-season. Now, all summer I'd heard speculation that he was trying to sign David James. The very first day of pre-season, he calls me into his office, and while I applaud his honesty for this, he says, listen, I'm signing David James, and in all honesty, I don't expect you to play. David's never injured. I know you have a year left on your contract. I'm keeping you. I'm not moving you on. But in all honesty, I don't expect you to play. Well, you could imagine the preseason I had. I did not run a lick. I'm not I was a good runner to start with, but I all of a sudden got considerably worse. Then the first international window that falls early September or whatever it is, David James gets injured for playing for England and is out for about 5 or 6 months. And now all of a sudden, Glenn Roeder has to come to me, put his arm around me, and I'm his best friend. Mm-hmm. At no point, and while I played every single game for that 5 months, at no point was I ever kind of playing for Glenn Roeder. I was just playing because at this point, I mean, I couldn't tell you, and I guess I can talk about it looking back now. I couldn't tell you how just kind of poor, how deflated I felt throughout. And it was just a matter of time that I can't wait for David to be fit, because I did not enjoy a single minute playing for Glenn Roeder. That's what all 4 of those players are going to have to deal with right now. So I feel sorry for Anthony with 2 years to left, even more so for Garnacho with 3, because who knows how they're coping with this.
Yeah, and you wonder as well, Jules, back to your point of whether, like, how good he actually is with this Ruben Amorim. Is he actually just conceding that he doesn't think there will be any more players coming in at Manchester United for him?
It's a good question. I think he knows they're trying. They're going to try to bring him a number 9. We said, yeah, you can play Cunha. You still have Højlund and Zirkzee, although you are looking for clubs for them to leave your club because he hasn't worked out for them. So I think he knows too well that this is not the final squad. And we said the other night when we put this possible 11 on the stream that a lot can still change, because if there's a 9, then Cunha drops a bit deeper. If there's no number 9, then Bruno can play a bit higher. If there's a 6, so there's a lot of things that can still change. And Ruben Amorim can't be happy with this 11. Yeah, Cunha and Mbomo are good signings, and Mbomo especially in my eyes. But he knows there's still a lot more to be done. Goalkeeper, number 9, another defensive midfielder, so much on. So I think this is where it is. And there's something else that I think we need to add here. until this week, he didn't have to speak, Ruben Amorim. He was on holidays, then he was starting training at Carrington in Manchester with no media, no press conference, nothing. Now they are on tour, like all the other clubs, by the way. He will have press conferences before the friendly matches, after the friendly matches, questions being asked about those four, who's training with you, who you want to keep, who you don't want to keep, who you're trying to sign. Whereas before, there was none of that. So he could tell the whole squad, I don't want you here before 5, 11 p.m., midnight, whatever he wanted, it was fine. Now questions are being asked every 3 or 4 days in this pre-season tour. There's a lot of journalists who are there. Our own Rob Dawson is there with United. And suddenly Amorim is back into the spotlight with all those questions. And that's why I think also the communication, what he's saying and what the club's view has been is changing, because now he's being asked about it and he has to come publicly and respond to all those questions.
How hard is it not to say too much when these questions keep coming at you, Stevie?
Well, it shouldn't be. You know, he should be smart enough to, as I always say, tell them what you want them to know, not what they want to know. And just dodge the questions. That's all you got to do. Particularly, I mean, I would have hoped that somebody at Manchester United on the PR side would have gotten a hold of Amorim and spoken to him along those lines. Look, you don't have to answer questions. We don't expect you to answer all these questions. Answer what you're comfortable with. Other than that, you dodge them. Don't answer them. Don't give them add more fuel to the fire. But he clearly doesn't. He had absolutely no idea. Last week he was talking about how slow they were in the middle of the park, how they need to bring somebody in. I mean, that was one of his first press conferences. And he's given the players pelters. And then this week he's gone the complete opposite way, and everything, the sun's shining every day of the week in Manchester right now, apparently.
Let's move on to talk about what's going on at Arsenal. Victor Gyökeres given the green light to make that move to Arsenal. It's all agreed with Sporting. Medical is set for this player, and it is basically done. Julien Laurent still with us here. Jules, they got their guy.
Yes, finally. It took them a long time to get this one done. We knew that since the start of the window, pretty much it was between Sesko and Gyökeres. They looked at both. They initiated talks with both, and both clubs, Leipzig and Sporting. And we said also from the beginning that it's difficult to deal with Sporting, to negotiate with them, because they want every penny. They keep changing their mind. Their president and is quite difficult in that sense. He just wants the value that he's decided for his players, and it doesn't always work like that. But eventually, finally, they've got Gyökeres. They wanted him for the start of pre-season. He's missed the start of pre-season and the first game friendly match against AC Milan, but he should be there now for the rest of it, and then obviously for the start of the season, which I guess is always the most important. We're not sure in what kind of fitness he really is, because he didn't really take part into the Sporting kind of pre-season tour, if you want, because he was on the move and he wanted to join Arsenal for a few weeks now. But at least they've got him. He's going to do his medical, and then hopefully he's going to hit the ground running for them.
So obviously the hope is that he will join up quickly. How does timing affect players when they're not there, Stevie, from day one of the pre-season in a new club and a new setup?
I think a lot of the time that's down to the individual. How coming in late can affect you. You know, if you get a real strong-willed, good character, then he'll just come in and play, and he won't be thinking about not being integrated with the team. However, if you get somebody in who's the type that needs an arm around the shoulder all the time, then it could affect them. But again, as always, when that happens, you don't get the answer until we're 2 or 3 games in to see whether he's actually... Does he understand what United are trying to do, Arsenal are trying to do? Does he understand the players around them, what they're looking for from him? Do they understand him? So all of these things that, if he had come in right at the start, by the time the season kicks off, all those fears are allayed, because you've spent enough time with everybody that they know your game and you know theirs. So a lot of it is down to him, but it's certainly not ideal.
No, it's always the sooner the better, right, Shaka?
It is. I'll go slightly differently on Stephen. I don't think it's that big a deal for a player of Gyökeres' age, experience and quality. Now, maybe if you're having this conversation about Benjamin Sesko at 22 years old, you want to come in a little bit sooner. But for somebody, Gyökeres, as I say, a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, I think he hits the ground running. It's well enough ahead of the start of the season that he just slots in, he finds his rhythm rather quickly, I don't think that is as much of an issue for a player of his quality.
You mentioned Šeško there, Jules, and it's obviously something that's going to come up in tonight's show anyway. But when they're looking at those two players, why Gyökeres over Šeško for Arsenal?
It's a different profile to start with. I think Šeško was seen, and rightly so, as not really a lethal goal scorer. He's never had more than 13 league goals a season, for example, whereas Gyökeres is a proper number 9 in that sense, in the terms of being a finisher style, if you want. He's just an incredible goal scorer and finisher. Šeško is an all-around probably better player than Gyökeres. He's a bit like Havertz in the sense that there's a lot of things he can do. He can pass the ball, he's great at pressing, he can link up the play, he's strong in the air, but he's very good technically for his size, he's quite quick. That you have it, but in a way you already have it a little bit with Havertz, which for Gyökeres, that profile of a number 9, of just a finisher in the 6-yard box, one-touch finish, one-time finish in the box, one-touch, all of that. This is Gyökeres, and you don't really have that because that's not what Havertz is, that's not what Gabriel Jesus is. Even a Trossard as a number 9 or whoever you want to play as a 9, this is not what they are. So I guess in Gyökeres, you just have that profile. And yeah, he's maybe a little bit older than what they would have liked because he's 27 already. But I think he's got that profile that they were missing and that they needed more than Šeško, who in a way they have a bit of, because Havertz is quite similar.
Yeah, I suppose one thing we do know to Stevie's point, Shaka, is that Mikel Arteta is definitely a manager who can put his arm around this player.
Absolutely, isn't it? And Mikel Arteta certainly has gotten the best out of the players. We've questioned some of the signings, but he's gotten a tune out of most of those signings, a couple of exceptions, of course. And I think Arteta does that. This is a player that they've needed for quite some time. Finally, they've landed. And right now, all signs are it's a very, very good signing.
Yeah, obviously, we're talking about strikers and goal scorers.
Oh,
so you probably know where I'm going to go next, right?
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going to go next.
Tell me where I'm going to go next.
Oops. First of all, I blame you,
Don't blame me.
Kay, and I blame you, Stevie. You with your Middlesbrough ways, you with your Liverpool ways.
I think you might have jinxed it. Yes, we need to talk about Alexander Isak. Obviously, the boys were talking about it yesterday, how he wants out. These are some of the papers. Ready when you are. Isak eyes exit, and away the lad. Liverpool ready to make a bid for the player. Shaka, the person I blame most is the person who on this very show said he wasn't going anywhere.
I was convinced of it. I was convinced that Alexander Isak was going nowhere, but you just kept going on about it, kid. That's why I blame you. And you, Liverpool, just leave good enough alone, will you? Listen, it's a tough decision. Obviously, a tough position that Alexander Isak was in. You have somebody like Liverpool with their pedigree, current Premier League champions. Given what you saw from them in the Champions League last season, particularly the early part of it before they run into the eventual winners at PSG, and you want to be a part of that. I completely sympathise with Alexander Isak kind of pressing for this move if it were to a club like Liverpool, because that doesn't happen very often. The Newcastle fan in me is heartbroken because I continue to think that despite the disappointing season, not last season, the season before, I thought Newcastle continued to trend in absolutely the right direction. Alexander Isak was a big part, a big reason in that. So to see him go, I think it sets the club back rather significantly.
Yeah, speaking of things that don't happen too often, hey, big spender, Liverpool, with the money that we'd be talking about here.
Aye. Well, I listened to Augie last night and I liked what he said about, Liverpool are looking for the next 10 years. But unfortunately, football players, as much as they'd love to buy into those types of sentences, they want to play. And if Isak does come, it seems almost daft that if you can get a player of Isak's quality, you don't take him. But how does this figure in with the front line? Because you can't. Salah has to play wide in the front three. Are you going to play Ekitike and Isak? I guess you could do that. That would be my only concern. I think to have the problem is going to be a great one, but at the same time, be careful what you wish for, because if you're going to upset the apple cart, you're going to make people unhappy, then sometimes you're better staying away. So I'm kind of 50-50 on this.
What are your thoughts, Jules, on how that team would be set up with both of those players, Ekitike and Isak?
Well, I guess there's so many games to play for Liverpool that you could have two number 9s like Isak and Ekitike without too much problems, and they would play a lot, both of them. We've seen Isak play wide, not many often. When Callum Wilson played more central, at times for Newcastle, Isak could play a little bit off a striker too. So you could have Ekitike and Isak and Salah in a way in your front three. Then it's down to Arne Slot to make it work. I know it doesn't maybe look natural on paper, but I think Isak is so good that he can play anywhere really in a front three. But
so
yeah,
where does Wirtz go then, Jules?
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely, that's exactly what I was going to make. My next point, Stevie, was like, do you play then? No, but you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Wirtz, what behind that? So you've got like a front four of Salah, Ekitike, Isak, and Wirtz. So this is all done. And the question is really, did they sign Ekitike because they thought the Isak deal was dead? In that case, did they go too quickly on Ekitike? Should they have waited a little bit more to see what would happen with the Isak potential deal? Because now if Isak is forcing a move, was he ready to force a move a week ago when Liverpool made that first approach to Newcastle, way before they went back for Ekitike, for example? And can you spend, again, another 150 million on top of everything you've spent, even if you would get money for Luis Diaz, who's going to go quite likely, and probably Darwin, who you're going to sell at some point? I'm not sure if Liverpool really have all that money to spend, but it's quite fascinating to think what could happen now in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
See, I find that a little strange, because if Isak really was that desperate to go away, there's absolutely no way on this earth that Liverpool wouldn't be trying to talk to Isak. If they were desperate to get Isak,
a long time ago,
they would be talking to him.
Yeah.
Whether it's behind closed doors, somebody making a phone call, somebody getting into that's what I find strange. It's taken till Ekitike actually signs for Liverpool for Isak to turn around and demand to be going. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Right. And then I said we'd mention Benjamin Sesko again, and that's because if Isak is to go, is this a player that could be coming in at Newcastle then, Jules?
Yeah, absolutely. Him, Randall Colomwani are two names on their shortlist for the number 9 position that they would need. I mean, they wanted one in Ekitike before, not just Ekitike, but others number 9 they looked into, and they missed out on Ekitike, whether Isak stays or not. If Isak stays, they still want another number 9. If Isak goes, they need one even more. And really, Sesko and Colomwani are two of the number 9s that are still on the market. There could be others, for sure. I mean, we know that Retegi, for example, left Atalanta to go to Saudi, but there's a lot of movement within number 9s this summer already, and there will be more between now and the end of the transfer window. And Sesko, again, is a player that they've watched before. Like Colomwani, it's a player that could be a right fit for them in what he can bring. If you think, again, the profile that we mentioned earlier, but there was a limit to what Newcastle were ready to offer for Ekitike, for example. They could not have paid as much as Liverpool did. So for Sesko, again, it would be if they feel that the fee is right and the valuation is right, and then if they're going to go for him or not.
Would you be happy with this, Shaka? He's just 22, as you saw. He was only 22 in May.
Yeah, 22, and the old cliche, a lot of potential to it. It is not a like-for-like swap with Isak stylistically, certainly, and the question then becomes, how does he fit into who Newcastle are, the way they play or have been playing over the last few years with Alexander Isak up front. I'm with Jules, and I said this a few weeks ago. I thought Newcastle's interest in Ekitike was on the assumption that Alexander Isak would eventually leave. I'm also with Steve here, is that I'm finding it hard to believe that Liverpool hadn't gotten to word to Alexander Isak back in end of May, early June about their interest. And now all of a sudden things have just kind of come to a boil and started boiling over in a way that modern football, it does not happen that way. But now all of a sudden Newcastle are in the position where their striker wants to go. He's expressed as much to them by all accounts. Their first target to replace him in Ekitike, he wanted to go to Liverpool as well. That deal was done. And now they're looking around trying to figure out who else fits. The one thing I will say is Newcastle physically are a very big team. And Benjamin Sesko absolutely fits into that. Young enough, with enough potential that there is possibly a huge upside to this, as there was for Alexander Isak.
Let me throw a bit more salt into the wounds.
Why are you doing this?
No.
Why are you doing this to me?
That are getting hijacked because Man City is set to re-sign goalkeeper James Trafford 2 years after letting him leave the Etihad. Manchester City trying to scupper the plans for Newcastle United, who are said to have had a bid here for the Burnley keeper. Let me start with you here then, Shaka, because I want to talk to you about the jump from the Championship as a goalkeeper to the Premier League and how that is.
It's tough. It's tougher, I think, than many people think, or would give it credit to. I think that especially for James Trafford, while he knows the Premier League and knows Premier League clubs and understands the pressure that comes with it, at 22 years old, making mistakes in the Championship is very different from making that exact same mistake, even with the same outcome, in the Premier League, just because of how that stage is set and the kind of focus that is on you. And it's a lot more difficult place to learn your trade. And while, from a Newcastle perspective, I still think between Pope and Dubravka, they have two very good goalkeepers. But as you look at Newcastle's roster, particularly as it pertains to those goalkeepers, I think Newcastle have either 4 or 5 goalkeepers, first-team goalkeepers on their books, all of them in their 30s. So they have to start looking for younger talent to bring in because, again, while back in our day, they used to say goalkeepers peaked or started to peak in their 30s. Now you're seeing that number coming down significantly, and kind of given the number of games, the intensity to it, you just wonder about goalkeepers into their 30s, approaching mid-30s, how they stand up to those rigors. So you understand the interest in getting somebody younger, but you want someone who can understand and deal with the pressures of making mistakes, the pressures of succeeding somebody like Nick Pope in the Premier League, and that's not that easy.
Meanwhile, what does it mean for Edison, Jules?
It means that they are looking for a way out for Edison. We know that Galatasaray made an offer, a really low offer, €3 million for his transfer, which was never going to accept. That City were never going to accept. But this is the start, really. When clubs know that you're ready to let him go, that you're ready to negotiate. I think they want around the £10 million mark for Edison, which is probably a fair value right now for him. And Trafford's 22 years old. There's not that many under 23 top goalkeepers right now playing week in and week out in Europe. There's Chevalier at Lille, who's probably on his way out. And there's Trafford. Joan Garcia went to Barcelona. And this is it. Those kind of profile of top goal scorer that young are rare. And whether we think he's going to adapt straight away or not, needs a bit more time at City, we will see. But he was the best goalkeeper by far in the Championship last season. He's very good. He's England under 21 international. So there's great potential. They know him really well. They formed him. So I don't think there's any doubt in their mind that he's the right guy for the job.
Keep up to date with all the moves that are going on in the transfer window over on our website, our transfer talk page on ESPN.com. Okay, so MLS have suspended Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba for skipping the All-Star game. And this is what Don Garber had to say about it. He said, "I know Lionel Messi loves this league. I don't think there's a player or anyone who's done more for MLS than Messi. I fully understand, respect and admire his commitment to Inter Miami, and I respect his decision. Unfortunately, we have a long-standing policy regarding the participation of the All-Star game, and we enforce it. It was a very difficult decision. That said, we are going to take a hard look at the policy moving forward." Jules is still with us, but Stevie, you do not agree with the measures that have been taken here.
I can't believe that. I really can't. I mean, you're talking about a guy who has taken MLS up another level by the mere fact that he plays in MLS around the globe. Before Messi, nobody could have cared less who played in MLS, quite frankly. And so, to suspend a guy who's done so much for your league, and do you think for 1 second that Inter Miami would have been in the Club World Cup if Messi wasn't playing for Inter Miami? Not a chance. So again, all Messi's done is raise the profile of MLS, and they've turned round and suspended him for a game. if I'm Messi and anybody into Miami, I am not lifting a finger to help MLS again. Forget it. I'm sorry. I think it's a joke. There's always a circumstance where you have to make an exception. And the fact that they haven't taken the opportunity and made an exception, I think is 100% wrong.
So it's a long-standing policy that would have happened to any other player. We know Lionel Messi isn't any other player. Can they come out and say because it's him?
No, they can't.
Played a lot.
No, they can't.
He's exempt.
Of course they can't.
No, I
MLS changes. Sorry, Shaq. MLS changes rules every day of the week, or they would change them every day of the week to suit themselves. So the fact that they've gone ahead and done this is absolute nonsense.
If they change those rules apply to everybody else. And now listen, I am. I'll be honest. As far as this is concerned, I'm not here nor there. And I'll be honest. I don't think Lionel Messi cares. He cares just as much as me, to be honest. But here's the thing. From Don Garber's statement, and I agree, if this is a long-standing policy, then it has to apply to everybody else, including Lionel Messi. But here's the issue with it. And while that's all well and good, who does this really impact in terms of that one-game suspension? And the answer to that is, I don't know which game he's going to be suspended for. I'm not sure if that was announced. But if it's an away game, whoever that team is will see a significant, drop in expected attendance. That's who is going to impact. It doesn't bother Lionel Messi. It doesn't bother Jordi Alba. It doesn't bother Javier Mascherano. We are talking about an Inter Miami team that, while they're currently sitting 5th in the East, they have 3 games in hand on Cincinnati, who are top. They are 7 points behind Cincinnati, who are sitting on top. Inter Miami are going to make the playoffs. And again, here comes the issue with this system and the playoff system. Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba missing 1 game, certainly in this situation, is not going to impact whether Inter Miami makes the playoffs or not. Is not going to impact anything Inter Miami related, unless that home game is at home. But then you have season ticket holders. It only impacts whoever if it's an away game suspended for.
The other thing that annoys me is the hypocrisy that Don Garber comes out and says, because it's a long-standing rule. As I said to Shaka, they change rules to suit themselves, and they would do it every day of the week if they could, and they do. So don't turn around and say, it's been a long-standing rule and there's nothing we can do, because they do things for fun. There's not another league in the world that changes rules to suit themselves more than MLS does. So,
Jules, do you care?
No, he doesn't.
I don't care. I think it's just it's a massive own goal from them. Like what is Messi? They play the Club World Cup. If you play in the NBA and you're selected for the All-Star game and you don't go, you can't go, you're injured or you're rested or whatever, you don't get suspended. Why are you suspended in the MLS? And what is that the All-Star game where Aisho Speed or whatever his name is featured and did the skills challenge? Is that really what we're talking about here? And really, you are suspending Messi for 1 game for not going to something that he didn't even know existed before because we don't have them in Europe, for example. I think that was a good opportunity for Don Garber and MLS to say, actually, we've had this policy, this rule, we're ready to change it because as we see with Messi and Alba, you should not really have to sanction players who not going to the All-Star game even they're selected. And instead, I think they look ridiculous now, suspending him for 1 game.
Jorge Mas from Inter Miami has said that Messi is very upset about these measures that have been taken and called it draconian. So maybe you and Messi are on the same team here, Stevie.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Messi don't care. Messi don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a lot more talk about this on the latest edition of Football Americas. You'll often see Shaka on there, sadly not tonight. OK, get ready for this one. According to Ryan O'Hanlon over on our website, ESPN.com, these are the top 10 teams in the last 25 years. It starts with Bayern Munich of 2012-2013, followed by Barcelona of the 14-15 season. 3rd place is Real Madrid in 2011-2012. As you can see, you're seeing often Bayern, Barcelona, Real Madrid. We do see Liverpool and Manchester City there in 5th and in 10th. Now, this is a highly advanced system that Ryan O'Hanlon uses. He's our analytics guy. There's all different metrics.
He didn't speak to you, did he?
I was about to say, Kay is never this complimentary about my algorithm, by the way.
It might be more dubious than your algorithm.
Oh, the ball. Oh, yeah.
It's about as close as it is.
No, mine is way more advanced.
So I want to start with you guys, okay? Stevie, who's your number one of the last 25 years? Your number one team, what season?
I would go for Barcelona.
Which one?
11-12?
10-11. It was 10-11.
10-11?
Yeah.
Played Manchester United at Wembley. Mm-hmm. At 10-11?
Yeah.
I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson, whenever he loses a game, it's either something his team didn't do or something his team did do. It's never about the opposition. Alex Ferguson was speechless after this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely speechless. He had nothing to say. He knew that he had been beaten and there was absolutely nothing he or anybody else could have done about it. And the fact that it was only 3-1 doesn't do justice to how dominant this Barcelona side were. So, yeah, for me, I would be going with that Barcelona side.
And even coming into that final, it was at Wembley, so it was Manchester United were, by all accounts, at home. It was a home game for them, and Barcelona were just so dominant. I'm with Stevie. As we said right now, I honestly didn't think it was close. I thought it was Barcelona 10-11, and then everybody else kind of fighting for second. I didn't think it was close. So for me, that easily the best club team I've seen in my life.
So we're not seeing any Arsenal Invincibles in that list from Ryan. No Inter treble winning side, no Manchester United of those times under Sir Alex Ferguson, no Juve, even teams that are missing there that you might have expected to see. I wonder how Julien Laurent is feeling about our list. And if, Jules, you would like to get on your soapbox now and tell us what you think of Ryan's list.
I mean, no PSG side in it, obviously. No Man City treble team in it either. This is not the list that I would have had as my top 10, really. And Ryan did his, as you said, his own power rankings. If you want, they're as bad as Shaka's.
What?
Let's be honest, really. Sorry, Shaka. But as we see here... Sorry, Shaq. But only two of the teams that won a treble were in that top 10. And I agree with the boys. The Barca 2010, 2011. I was at that final at Wembley, and this is the most beautiful things I've seen really in football through my career. It was incredible to see them, the way they played, the way they, in a way, the revolution that Pep Guardiola brought with that team. And I know they had Messi in it, obviously, but Messi at that level was a joy to watch. So, yeah, I would disagree massively with Ryan's list.
Let me just say, my power rankings is the Barcelona 2010-2011 of power rankings.
Oh, right.
Well, so Ryan, let me tell you a few things, because we all love your algorithm, Shaka. We're not quite sure how it works.
Don't try to butt up to me now.
It's ranked by a combination of points per game, goal differential per game, 60-40 weighing in favour of this, adjusted league difficulty based on average ratings for each league in the past 25 seasons from the Club ELO ratings. Does your algorithm take all of these things into account, Shaka?
My algorithm, not those things, but other things.
I think yours is way more complicated than that.
But for argument's sake, and we were talking about, Steve, we were talking about this on the way to the studio. I think I give a lot more kind of gravitas to both Arsenal and Leverkusen's undefeated teams. And while, you can break this down into mathematical formulae all you like, I think a team going undefeated, and Leverkusen lost in Europa League final, and I know Arsenal weren't undefeated in all competitions, of course, but they were undefeated in the league. I think there is something that has to count above and beyond in doing that, kind of given what it takes from a sporting perspective. Because of all those teams that on that list, none of them are undefeated across their season. And that says something. And I feel as a result, while, again, you can break it down and do all the math you want, you have to take some of the, what's the word I'm looking for here? Some of these je ne sais quoi.
All right with you, Jules? You say okay?
Great accent.
Yeah, but does it actually work in the sentence?
Does
it work in the sentence? It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Stevie, we also had a bit of a laugh when we were looking at this, when we were getting ready for the show today, that perhaps this actually is an AI
Right.
Yes, okay.
That would make sense.
That might make sense for you. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for having that lovely debate there and Shaka's lovely French there. We hope for more of it throughout the show. Make sure to go and check out Ryan's article over on the website if you want to get angry or if you want to see the way that he has put together these rankings. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We have Shaki and Stevie here in the studio. We've got Jules with us as well. Jules is still getting over some French that we heard from Shaka in the main show. Jules, how did he do?
Je ne sais pas, je ne sais quoi.
The way Shaka set it up and said, what's the
word
I'm looking for to really get it platform? Doing a Craig Burley over there. All right, with the old Latin.
God, I'm sweating.
Okay, first question. Is Harvey Elliott plus mega bucks of cash in exchange for Alexander Isak a great deal and win-win situation for both Liverpool and Newcastle?
How much bucks are we talking about?
Mega bucks.
He doesn't get in the Newcastle team, does he?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he does.
So no.
So it's not a good move for him.
So it's not a win-win.
No. Harvey Elliott needs to go somewhere and actually play every time there's a game. And that's not going to happen if he goes to Newcastle. And he's done enough of that at Liverpool. So, yeah, not win-win for everybody.
All right. Jules, are there any updates on Konate's contract situation? Some reports in the last couple of days say he wants to stay.
There's nothing, certainly no advance that I've been told of lately in negotiations between him and the club. And to be fair, he knows and his people know that right now the club has other priorities than his extension. The club sorted out Mo Salah's and Virgil van Dijk's contracts when they only had a few months left on their contract. So they don't have to do it now in July, especially when they are working on ins and outs already at the club. But it's a situation that at some point will come back on the table where the two parties, Konate's people and the club, which accuse Michael Edwards, Barry Hunter, whoever is there in the negotiation, will sit down again and see if they can find an agreement. They want him to stay for sure. I think he would like to stay, but for now the two positions are too far ahead in terms, especially on wages and details of the contract. That's where we are. So right now, and I don't, Konate is my boy, so it's a bit difficult for me. It's not difficult for me, but I'm not really completely objective here. But he's paid less than somebody like Tsimikas at the club, and that's not right. I'm not saying that he should be the highest earner at the club. That's not what I'm saying. But right now, he's underpaid, and I know he earns already a lot of money. That's not what I'm saying. But if you look at the wage structure of the club, he's not at the right place in that structure, and I think this is something that the club has to sort out.
Jules, I'm going to stay with you for the next question. Has Arsenal already laid the building blocks for Victor Gyökeres to fail by giving him the number 14 jersey? Big shoes to fill.
Wow. I don't have any superstition with numbers, but maybe the boys have or had during their career. I don't know how much this comes into a player's mind, for example. Is he heavy to wear? Is he heavy to wear because it was Thierry's number? Was the number 9 at Chelsea heavy to wear because number 9s in the past didn't really work out? I'm not sure this, at that level, when you're that good and that strong, I'm not sure if that comes into your mind, but we'll see. I'm not sure this is the reason why he would fail or not, really.
Yeah, I mean, goalkeepers, they're always so big time, aren't they? They always want the number 1. They always think they're the best.
Why is that?
Just leave me alone, you two. I'm still upset about Isak. I'm still blaming both of you.
Shaka jinxed the move.
No.
Shaka said that Isak's not
I
going
told you
anywhere.
just leave it
a
alone.
few days ago. He's very adamant. You might be right, Shaq.
I told Kay just leave it alone, but no, every day you just keep bringing it up.
The Shaka curse is back.
You're superstitious about numbers, Stevie.
No.
No?
No.
All right. Will Gyökeres' goal tally in his first year at Arsenal be closer to Haaland's first year at City or Højlund's first year at United? Now, the little note here is that Haaland had 52 and Højlund had 16 in all comps, so the over or under would be 34. That's what we're asking here.
Højlund.
Yeah.
Under 34 I'm going for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sensible. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jules?
I think he would get 30 goals. So that's less than Haaland, but more than Haaland.
Yeah.
It's under but close. All right, Dan's fancy dress shorts is in, saying start, bench, drop or sell. Rank the likelihood of these. Liverpool win the Champions League, Arsenal win the Premier League, Newcastle win any trophy, and Borough get promoted.
Well, there's one that sticks out.
boy. I know what I'm selling.
Borough's not getting promoted. No
I
chance.
can't even put up that much of a fight.
No,
'cause
you can't.
We're not even as heavily favoured as we were last season.
And how'd that work out for you?
Didn't work out for us. Well, maybe that's a good job. We'll just fly under the radar this
Yeah, well,
time.
okay.
Okay,
No,
so
no,
we're getting sold, all right?
Yeah.
And you'd have to say,
Borough sold.
Newcastle winning any trophy has got to be low or not. It took them, 60 years to get one. They're not going to get another one this
Like a
time.
bus. It's like buses. Two come along at once.
Especially if a certain Isaac leaves.
Not leaving. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Keep telling you all that. Why you keep bothering me with that?
Okay, we know Borough are getting sold, but you guys need to decide what else is happening here.
Well, Borough's are not getting promoted. Newcastle's not winning a trophy. So the question is it Liverpool winning the Champions League or Arsenal winning the Premier League?
So you think is more likely that Liverpool win the Champions League than Newcastle win any trophy?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
maybe need to rethink.
See the Carabao Cup when you all resting all your play. Yeah, you see? Look. Now he's
Jules, do you have any
Yeah,
thoughts?
no,
Are you going to do
actually
better
maybe
than
right.
we are?
I'll have just Arsenal winning the Premier League, and then Liverpool can win whatever they want, and Newcastle as well. And now Borough can be promoted too if you want. But yeah, as long as Arsenal win the Premier League.
Everyone.
If Arsenal win and everybody's getting bought, everybody's starting. All right, I'm going to go. Do I get Arsenal win the
It's got to
Premier
be
League?
Arsenal win the Premier League, actually. Yeah, I think yeah.
I'm going to go Arsenal win the Premier League.
Right.
Newcastle win any trophy. Liverpool win the Champions League. Borough getting promoted.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Winning the Champions League is hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want
Change
to be
my
in the
mind.
Premier League.
As is winning the Premier League.
Jack,
What?
I don't say this very often, but you're right.
See, told you. Told you.
Enjoy that, Shaka.
Yeah, clever.
Ah.
Saving that.
I wonder what you're all going to say to this one. Who will win the Women's Euros? Jules, Spain or England?
Oh, please,
I
Spain.
mean, are you really asking the question?
I guess I am.
Yeah, you know the answer already. It is-
Oh boy.
I mean, England, to be fair, miraculously have reached the final anyway, so they might do it again somehow with a GM Young or whoever they want, but Spain are just too good. There's no way England beat them.
Okay, Shaka.
I'm going Spain as well.
Spain.
Cool.
You know, Stevie was never going to
S'il
say
vous plaît.
England. He was never going to say England.
See who play.
Who you go for? Who you go for?
Well, I've got to go for England, haven't I?
You don't have to, Kate.
You don't have to.
You don't have
go
to.
for
We do,
Italy.
because I remember all of you lot went for PSG in the Club World Cup as well.
She was so happy when England beat Italy. That's
Loved that one,
I
didn't I?
bet.
a whole matter. Let's leave it at that.
Jammy.
Massively.
Jammy.
Well, Jules said it perfectly. Of course, Spain are big favourites here, but if England do it, it's because they've got jammy again. That's how it feels in this tournament. Anyway, thank you so much for sending in your questions. We will be back tomorrow here on ESPN FC to do it all
More French.
over again.
With some more French, I expect.
Come on.
No, not for me.